I'm aware that using this chair is going to make me look like a tiny little goblin today, but I don't care. I had a long, hard weekend, and I want to be cozy. And legally, you can't stop me. Let's jump into the fantasy news. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of I Am Your Tiny Goblin host, Daniel Greene, and today I have the coziest story to start us on out with. It's so polite, it's so nice, it feels like it could be your best friend, and it's mildly ironic for me because I'm going on a tangent already. I don't care. I don't care this week. I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want. I was having a conversation with friends recently about how there's certain celebrities you just trust, even though that's totally parasocial and weird. And maybe it's actually just a sign that they're a master manipulator of emotions. But if I heard like Brendan Fraser murdered somebody, my first question would be, what were they doing? Right? Did they deserve it? And the celebrity we agreed was the one that had just the best vibes was Sean Astin. Lo and behold, this morning, I found out that Sean Astin just got elected the SAG-AFTRA president. The only bad news included in this story is apparently voting percentages were down within the SAG-AFTRA community. This union of over 100,000 people only had 17% of people return ballots. That's bad. You all should be voting. Yet, Sean Astin won with 80% of the vote. So most likely he would have taken it anyway. 79%, I rounded up. Someone was going to point that out if I didn't. And Sean Astin was quoted saying, "I feel proud and I feel determined. People keep saying to me, I hope you have time to celebrate. And celebrating feels like a foreign thought. This doesn't feel like a moment for celebration. It feels like a moment to say thank you and get to work."
Samwise the Brave.
Beautiful. You'll love to see it. And this isn't real. Again, stupid, dumb brain here. But I feel like when they're sitting down for negotiations, this is a +1 bonus to the side of the actors. Can you imagine being someone on the side of the studios sitting down and you have to say negative, bad things towards Samwise Gamgee? Dude, that's Samwise. He's the best friend in cinema. I can't tell him no. Okay, we'll give you what you want. Like, that's my head how that's gonna go. And again, those lawyers are probably completely heartless, so maybe not. Sean Astin is succeeding Fran Drescher, who led the union through its recent 118-day strike, largely over AI issues, and those issues are continuing into Sean Astin's reign. That's a sentence I didn't think I'd ever say. And on this next round of negotiations, Sean Astin said, "I have a very good feeling about going into this next negotiation because it's clear to me that it's in both parties' interest to achieve a good deal." Astin doesn't seem eager to have another strike. They seem to be less aggressive towards that mentality over the candidate they beat, but he is not ruling it out. And his final words on the matter were, "Now is the time for optimism," Astin said on Friday. "When you elect a new president, it's a new chapter and a new page is turned. There's no reason not to charge for it as a union with our members."
Hey guys, it's Kayla. Sorry for interrupting, but I'm guessing you guys have probably noticed a change of seating for the video. Pretty cozy, right? Giving very book nook vibes. Well, that's because today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, FlexiSpot. This here is their very comfortable, very stylish, I might add, Lotus recliner. And I am not exaggerating when I say this chair has become the most popular chair in the entire house. Do you think I'm joking? Look at these pictures of my cats. I'm pretty sure they've fallen in love with it. They've got 20.9 inches of seating with 9.8 inches of armrest width. So that basically allows you to sit in all sorts of positions, as you can probably see Daniel doing here.
Oh, I don't bend like that.
It's true. I've even taken several naps in it. It rocks. I mean, literally, it's a rocking chair. That wasn't, I'm getting the point across. Plus, it swivels and reclines. Pretty much all levels of motion this chair has mastered, in my opinion, as a motion professor. It even has concealed storage, which if you have a bad behaving cat, they'll fit right in. Also, the Lotus does come in a variety of colors. I wanted a slightly different one. Kayla wanted this one. So this is the one we have now. If you're interested in getting your own, check out the link in the description down below. Oh, and use my code LOTUS30 to get $30 off your order. Plus, free shipping. Thank you, FlexiSpot, for keeping the goblin relaxed. Back to the news. Now I'm gonna go ahead and jump on over to Quickie News. Why? I'm allowed to. You can't stop me.
I'm in command now. Facebook, YouTube, and Google, leave me alone and let my videos spread.
And that's actually going to be to let you know, remember recently how many of the greatest minds of fantasy were all on a panel together that was behind a convention like wall, so we couldn't all see it right away. It's finally going to be released. So if you want to see Robin Hobb, George R. R. Martin, Brandon Sanderson, Rebecca Roanhorse, and Ryan Cahill have a conversation, that'll be posted, I believe, today on the Sci-Fi Fantasy Addicts podcast and on Sanderson's channel, September 18th, if my dyslexic brain remembered the dates right. Did I? Thank you, editing, Daniel. But for this next story, I'm kind of terrified to talk about it because I know the fans of this community are absolutely insane. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean that in the way that I'm dating one, and the fan fiction people scare me. I'm just going to be honest with that. But this is one of their heroes landing a record deal. So let's go ahead and get into it. SenLinYu, who is best known for her Harry Potter fan fiction Manacled that got into the controversial Dramini relationship, which, let's immediately side note, again, I don't care this week. I'm doing whatever I want. I was talking with Kayla about really dark books, bringing up stuff like The Road, and she was like, one of the darkest things I've read is Manacled. And I was like, come on, that can't be real. And I don't think it's as dark as The Road. But after looking into what goes on in Manacled, y'all, what the f***? Yo, what? Oh my god! It's basically Harry Potter meets Handmaid's Tale because Voldemort's won. SenLinYu has just received a record-breaking deal for their upcoming dark academia fantasy, Alchemised. It's reported to be exceeding $3 million. Holy smokes, for a book that's not even been released for an author who has only been putting out fanfic before, that is nuts. And when asked about this deal, SenLinYu, they said, I'm honored by Legendary's incredible enthusiasm for the project and can't wait to see the world of Palladia come to life. And it has over 10 million views on the fanfic platform AO3, which I just really got into what that was for the first time. Y'all are sick in a way that I love, but y'all are a little sick. And it has over 100,000 5-star ratings on Goodreads. According to what I'm reading here, again, I am an outside perspective on this, Alchemized began as Dramini before being transformed into its own dark romantasy thing set in an alternate world of necromancers and corrupt guild families. It stars a character named Helen Mirano. Could have changed that a little bit more. Y'all, I'm so conflicted on whether or not I should read and do a deep dive review of Manacled here on the channel. Am I even allowed to do that? Can I do fanfiction reviews? It would get demonetized right away, but it's also completely outside my wheelhouse, and like a reading experience video like I did for L. Ron Hubbard's book could be interesting, but I don't mean the negative connotation around that, because according to the Goodreads score, this book is like above some Stormlight Archive ratings. God damn. I don't know. Let me know. Don't let me know. I'm not sure. And the book is set to hit shelves September 23rd of this year. And for its first print run, they've print over 750,000 copies. Dope. Now, this next story is going to scare you, so I'm just going to start it off by saying he's okay as far as we know now. But Henry Cavill was injured. It's okay. It's okay. He's not dead. He's just injured. This happened during the training of the Highlander movie, which is likely going to end up with production being delayed until at least early 2026, which means the release date will be even further back. And no, there's no update on what the actual injury was, and let the guy be private. We don't know what it is. Let him be. We don't need to know his injury. I just need to know, is he secret? Is he safe? And you remember how in the last episode of Fantasy News, I was happy. I remember that feeling because a judge finally ruled that Anthropic had to pay $1.5 billion for all the books they stole to authors. Well, a judge has come forward and is actually saying, no, this settlement isn't good enough and also needs to have limitations on it. We need to know the exact number of books stolen. It's really confusing because they seem to be trying to align themselves on the side of the authors, but what they're doing is freaking out the groups that represent these authors because they just want to be able to get the deal for sure done. It's annoying, but it looks like they just want to make sure that this isn't going to be something that in the long term can come back to bite authors in the butt, and they want to get a list of the books and the authors who are going to be receiving the payment before they even start having it released. They're worried that somehow the groups that are representing authors pressured authors into accepting the deal. I don't see how that's a thing, but I'm also just a YouTuber, not a lawyer, so I'm not going to present it like I for sure know what's going on here. If there's someone with legal credentials who wants to read this article, linked in the comments down below the like button, wink, and give their input, I will really appreciate it, and thank you. There's just this one dramatic quote from the judge that I found kind of interesting. I have an uneasy feeling about all the hangers-on in the shadows. Okay, fantasy protagonist judge, what the hell is that? And in the middle of kind of like both sides of the aisle getting pissed off at AI companies for doing awful stuff to creatives, one senator boldly has stepped forward and tried to put forward measures to restrict how many regulations can be put on these AI companies. And guess what senator would do such a popular move? Oh, that's right, Ted Cruz. I hate that man. I know I'm supposed to not get political on this channel, but like Republicans I know hate Ted Cruz. How does he keep getting reelected? Whatever. Republican Senator Ted Cruz introduced a bill on Wednesday that would let artificial intelligence companies apply for exemptions from federal regulations to help them experiment in developing new technology. Now, there is a supposed safety check in place within this bill that would require the AI companies to do additional work, to research how what they're doing might affect customers, people, et cetera, but it seems like it's just chock full of loopholes, and I get wanting to supercharge cutting bleeding edge tech spaces, but at the same time, we've already seen that these tech companies are willing to do completely insane things, screwing over millions of people just to gain an inch, and AI, in the long run, is going to be something in history we look back on and, of course, have tons and tons of regrets, probably for opinions I have and others hold on how we treat it. But personally, I would rather be a lot safer with how it advances and, yeah, possibly get left behind in some ways by other countries that are developing AI than just letting it run amok and potentially doing way more harm than good. That is my own personal opinion, and AI is so complicated with its, implications for like military stuff, which, yeah, this could touch on. It's hard to talk about because it even gets into like cancer research, for sure. I understand that. But we've also seen that AI really can be a Pandora's box. Once it's trained on something, it can't be untrained on it very easily. And so it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, but this is not the path forward that I personally agree with. That being said, it does not have the flat-out ban on state-level regulations we tried to see done before, and that was voted down. So at least in that way, this is less of a attempt for just complete free reign for AI development. All right, y'all are probably seeing why I needed to be cozy this week. I'm frustrated. Let's go ahead and get into some of the positive, directly book-related news. And I want to kick that off with a Ken Liu story, one of my favorite minds in the space right now. And that is because he has released a free novelette, I don't know about the length limits there, on Reactor, collaborating with the author Caroline M. Yoachim, and it's titled If a Digitized Tree Falls. Future Daniel here, who's read it a bit more. I especially recommend this to people who are only familiar with Ken Liu's fantasy work, because his sci-fi work, I believe, is even a step above. And with this taking on the concept of digital twins or replicas of real-life spaces and natural ecosystems, in typical Ken Liu fashion, it delves far deeper into this topic than you probably even thought possible by the end of a short story. It's just impressive. Also, great job to you, Caroline, as well. This is great. We have also seen a resolution to one of the biggest pieces of fantasy book cover drama I've ever come across. And that is because Hierarchy fans, the series by James Gilligan, have really wanted to see the next book, The Strength of the Few, be able to have both the art for the new style of covers that are happening and the original crumbling effect. And publishers have taken note, and now there will be an edition coming out that solves both. And that's because it's going to have a reversible jacket. And if you want, you can flip it to the trad style, or go ahead, scoop, boop, ba-doop, and you have The Strength of the Few and The Will of the Many in the original. Best of both worlds. That was probably a loud bang, sorry. But the good news doesn't stop there for Hierarchy fans, and that is because Saga Press is committing to doing this for the full quartet, which means that the next print of the original first book, Will of the Many, is going to have the original cover printed on the inside. All of the prints of this second book will start with it, and the next two books will have the same rubric. So that means there's going to be illustrations by Jamie Jones, jacket design by Math Monahan, and the reversible jacket and in-paper designs by Rachel Furlong. I cannot think of the last time I heard of a publisher hearing about fans loving two cover styles and deciding to add them both to not only all future books, but reprints of the hardcover of the original. That's awesome. Saga kicks ass. But if you are a fan of the Nameless Republic trilogy. The final entry has had its cover art revealed, Season of the Serpent, with an illustration by Dan Dos Santos. The series by Suyi Davies Okamboa has made waves since the first entry was released and will now be coming to an official conclusion August of 2026. Is it me or is this a little bit early for a cover reveal? I don't even know if there's an industry standard for that, but it feels a tiny bit early, though I've seen cover reveals for books that have not come out for like a decade after the cover was revealed, so...
Shots fired!
But the final cover reveal we're going to be talking about today is my favorite, and that's because it's both horrifying and adorable, and it's going to be for City of Others by Jared Poon, with a design by Alexia E. Pereira. Benjamin Toe must work to keep the supernatural inhabitants of Singapore happy, but he has the best, if highly irregular, team to help him. City of Others is a charming debut urban fantasy, and this will be available January of 2026. See, very reasonable time frame for that cover reveal. And I love this because it has an adorable cat with also like Lovecrafty and Cthulhu tentacle monster stuff happening down below, and that sets a tone with the pastel colors and the massive waves on the side that feels high stakes yet kind of cozy, and that's what I need in my life. And it has a cover quote from Andrea Stewart that reads, "Delights and charms with a ragtag group of magical bureaucrats, action, magic, and romance." I absolutely adore this. And I know this is insanity and completely unrelated to actual news, but cover quotes is something we've talked about strangely in depth here on the channel, with how some of them feel generic. That one doesn't. That one actually from Andrea Stewart feels pretty good. But I've had this idea where I would love to create a database for every author that does cover quotes, list out all their cover quotes, and examine them, see what their hype compares to with the final ratings of the book, and how much variation in terms of the wordage actually happens with their cover quotes, and therefore we could actually figure out who is the king and or queen of... That doesn't matter. This matters only to me. I'm sorry. But we have seen that is going to be taking on an adaptation of Holly Black's beloved YA series, The Folk of the Air, with a full release date set up for the whole series in terms of how it's going to be brought to being a graphic novel, with The Cruel Prince to be released in spring of 2028, The Wicked King to follow in 2029, and The Queen of Nothing in 2030. Brilliant. Love to see you already having a decent, like, okay, for sure, these are the release dates, good amount of barrier time, we're going to be getting the art done. Solid publisher's marketplace. It's going to have manga-inspired artwork from Irene Diaz Miranda and Laura Moreno Fernandez. I'm kind of excited that we've seen a little bit in recent years of an uptick of popular fantasy stories getting adapted, not necessarily traditional Hollywood adaptations, which have been kind of a dumpster fire recently. That's understating it. But on top of that, like, it's just cool that more mediums are willing to take some of our favorite stories and allow them to flourish in these other formats. I just think that's an overall net good. And, you know, visual stuff make brain dopamine occur. But this does make me want to ask you all, if you could take one of your favorite individual fantasy sci-fi books or series and see it transformed into a non-TV show, movie, anime, or live action format, what would you pick and what format would you want to see? I'm ruling out video game too. I'm talking about like webtoons, graphic novels, graphic audio, that kind of stuff. Now, unfortunately, I have to call an author out for blatantly lying, just being a deceiver, because the author of Lightlark, Alex Aster, invited many of her most loyal fans to the offices of her publisher under the guise of a 30th birthday party. But this was not some innocent party, and instead became a moment for Aster to reveal her next fantasy series, Starside. And these people were even forced to take home with them 100 pages of the manuscript of the author they adore. How dare you, Aster? How dare? Apparently, the cries of terror at this revelation were ear-splitting from fans as the curtain was lowered and they saw the cover of the curse they were being forced to now read. I have to break the joke because there are people dumb enough to think I was actually complaining. After doing this job for 10 years, can you imagine your favorite author, one, like inviting you to a birthday celebration? That's cool. But on top of that, pivoting it and then showing you, oh, here's a whole new book, and for showing up being a fan, 100 pages. Even cooler, she apparently has been planning this release with her publisher for a long time, and even when she first brought them the series, was like, I want this to be a secret, don't tell nobody, and obviously that's proven to be a really good marketing strategy in media. Cold drops make pops. And Starside for everyone else is going to be released March 24th of next year. And it's pitched as Starside is where the magical, powerful immortals live. The Stormside is where mortals scramble for even just a taste of that magic. Every 50 years, the gates between the two open, allowing 50 challengers to embark on a deadly quest to traverse between them. Our vengeful protagonist, Eris, wants to journey through the gates and kill the gods. To survive the dangerous challenge, she might need the help of Harlan Raker, a merciless Kingsguard who once betrayed her. Ooh, are they gonna end up in a ship situation? I'm willing to bet my life savings yes. We also had a new cover drop for The Empire of Silence, the first book in the Sun Eater series, and it seems to be leaning even heavier into the classic Roman aesthetic for this sci-fantasy space opera. I think this might also be the most book-accurate Hadrian Marlowe depiction yet? I'm not entirely sure, but it looks really good. Sun Eater, aside from the covers we don't talk about, has had nothing but banging covers. Don't look at those other covers we don't talk about.
How rude!
And this is going to be for the Endorita Deluxe Edition. With art by Kieran Yenner, it'll also include 7 new illustrations inside, and 15 black and white. Apparently the text is being edited, and there's going to be a new introduction. So this is like a full-on new Sun Eater first entry experience for the mega fans. Oh, and it's also going to have a full 5-chapter new story. Okay, damn. And it's limited to 1,000 copies. Not a huge fan of that. I don't love limited print runs. But if you want to be sure to get one of the 1,000 copies, you can sign up at andritabooks.co.uk. And it has just been posted that the backer kit is live for the first graphic novel canon within the Dungeon Crawler Carl universe, titled Crocodile. Not much is known about this, except that it's featuring a fistful of your favorite characters and some brand new friends and enemies. And it will be taking place from the perspective of the enigmatic mercenary Florin Dupont. And there are already over 16,000 people waiting on backer kit as of recording. But okay, let's go ahead and shift on over to the wider industry news. And I have, very similar to the previous Mass Effect news, where it's been coming for over a decade, we have now had, theoretically, more solid movement on a potential Bioshock adaptation, and it's been confirmed that the script that's being worked on is going to be adapting the first game. It's a Netflix adaptation, so take that as you will. And it has the Hunger Games director Francis Lawrence at the helm. We also got the English dub trailer for the upcoming Chainsaw Man movie Reze Arc, and it's just as horny and weird as you expect Chainsaw Man to be. The sequel to the Super Mario Bros. Movie's title has been announced, and it is the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Came with a little pretty teaser. Noise. And the Foundation adaptation, still ongoing over at Apple, has been renewed for a 4th season. And I have so many conflicting emotions about this show. There are aspects of it banging, like such a brilliant science fiction show for Apple to be doing. Is it the story of Isaac Asimov's Foundation? Not really. And there are also plot lines I hate. It is so polarizing in my head. If I was going to do a review of Foundation, I would review all the seasons. It would probably be like an hour-long deep dive. That might be in the future. I just need to figure out if I have the energy and bandwidth to do that while we're doing all these other summaries and stuff here on the channel. Which takes me to my only last brief bit of personal news. There is going to be, hopefully this Thursday, the Wheel of Time summary dropping. The first one that's going to cover books 1 through 11 and be 11 hours long. The reason I say maybe is I'm currently dealing with fraudulent copyright claims on the video. I pay for Motion Array, a service that allows me to have all this music. It's super annoying. I won't bore you with the details, but if it's not released, that's why. Please keep an eye out for it. And once it gets approved, I'll put a premiere up so you all know. I have never worked harder on a video. I am so proud of this, and it has been edited meticulously. So I just hope it performs well. If you wouldn't mind throwing it on, giving it a try, maybe once you're done, just lowering the volume a little bit, letting it play for great engagement.
I would be forever grateful.
But in some more quickie news, apparently Perfect Blue is going to be back in theaters with a 4K remaster October 3rd. This is one of the seminal anime thrillers. If you have not seen it, definitely do. It is so good for fans of very ethereal, strange, psychological horror, and it fully takes advantage of the medium of animation to elevate its own story. There's also a trailer that dropped for Dust Bunny, starring Sigourney Weaver and Mads Mikkelsen. Monster hunting stuff? No idea this was happening. Badass. I love it. That's Mads Mikkelsen sitting next to a chicken lamp. But that's too much positive news in a row. We gotta keep it grounded and real. Fantasy news is always meant to be an emotional roller coaster, and it's time for the drop. And that is because Nintendo has officially received a US patent on summoning a character and letting it fight another. Nintendo, why must you put out great content yet be villain? You raise video game price, you do bad thing, yet you put out peak. It's very frustrating, and this patent sucks. Aside from the threat this could just pose to smaller gaming companies that Nintendo could now come after for using a similar system to their own, this also has a chance of increasing industry-wide patenting of game systems like we saw with the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor, which could stifle innovation and be used as a tool to further fill the gaming space with litigation between studios. And I'm sorry I can't be more thorough. I am rapidly developing a fever as I'm editing this, so I'm doing my best. Whatever. And clashing with this tone here, we're now going to transfer over to talking about some awesome Nintendo news, because Fire Emblem just dropped its trailer for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. And this will be coming to the Switch 2 in 2026. Hades 2 also had a trailer drop at Nintendo Direct, which will be available on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 September 25th of this year. Probably the biggest IP news for Nintendo, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond dropped its trailer. This is the Metroid Prime game that I think was originally canned, scrapped, and rebuilt from the ground up. And in that rebuilding, it seems they've decided to give Samus a light bike, and that can be either amazing or not. I'm not sure how. Is this going to be an open world Metroid Prime game? That's neat. I don't know. I haven't played a Metroid Prime game in a long time. And this will be coming out for the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 December 4th of 2025. But we also had the Emmys happening on Sunday, and there were some notable winners for the genres we love. Tramell Tillman became the first Black actor to win for supporting actor in a drama. And if you have not seen Severance, what are you doing? It's probably the best sci-fi show of the last 5 years. And I know the ending of season 2 was kind of polarizing for people. I thought it was genius. I would actually be even okay with the show ending there with such a tantalizing question. And but I'm so looking forward to season 3. I want season 3 so bad. Andor took home several Emmys, including Best Writing in a Drama for Welcome to the Rebellion. And the episode Who Are You took home the award for Outstanding Production Design in a Narrative Period or Fantasy Drama, Picture Editing, and Harvest won for fantasy/sci-fi costumes. And the entire season won Best Visual Effects. But this is going to take us to our final story of the week, and the trailer dropped for The Witcher Season 4, starring Liam Hemsworth taking the mantle as Geralt of Rivia. The trailer looks okay. It's just odd. It's really odd. Okay, pause. Before we get into other stuff, I want to always take a moment to give credit here. The people in charge of the creature design for The Witcher show have since Season 1 done a fantastic job, and the Wraith that they showcase here for Season 4 also looks spectacular. So I have tons of criticisms for the Witcher show, and yeah, there have been some wonky CGI, but I don't blame the practical effects monster crew for that. And I know there's CGI being woven in here too, but there also is some practical stuff. Anyway, I just feel like because the show is so blasted that some of the departments that have done a great job don't get the roses they deserve. Now, when it comes to the other side of this, though, what are we doing? This seems so just, the comment section's roasting it. The actor seems like he's just dreading it. There's the energy, the aura of season 4 of The Witcher just feels whoa. And we know it's canceled, right? Who's gonna watch this?
Mr. Reed, it is out of sheer morbid curiosity.
Anyway, season 4 will be released October 30th of this year, in case you wanted to know that. Although I will say, in a somewhat positive spin, it did manage to pull in 1.4 million views in the first day. That is an impressive number. Don't look at the like to dislike ratio. What are you doing? Don't look at that. Don't look at that. But this has just been your latest episode of Cozy Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Get ready for Thursday. Hoping all resolves well. And if you would like to get early access to the Wheel of Time summaries, they're available on Patreon for just $1. Towers of Midnight went live. Now, my watch is on this hand. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.